Morning.
Now then, Guy, how's it going?
Yeah, good, thanks. Welcome to Stalag Luft 3. Here we are.
Here we are. We met Guy Walters, who wrote the book, The Real Great Escape. What a boy. Bloody knowledgeable.
So just to give you a bit of bearings,
Go on.
what would have been here was a great big socking fence.
Yeah.
And then if you just stop here, you can see the entire length of the tunnel represented by this concrete.
Yes.
And then here we've got the North Compound.
Okay.
This is where the Brits would have been in March 1944. You know, if you remember the compound of the movie, it's actually quite small. And the original compound was quite small near the beginning of the war. But of course, as the war goes on, you get more and more prisoners coming in, more people being shot down, more people being captured. And so you then got the West Compound, you've got the East Compound, South Compound, compound for Russian workers, compound where the Germans live. So you've got tens of thousands of prisoners here. And
Tens of thousands?
Tens of thousands, yeah, absolutely.
Hell, right,
because
okay.
as the war went on, more and more prisoners were taken. And
Tens of thousands?
Yeah. Forget the film in which you've just got what feels like a kind of school.
Yeah.
You know,
This
is almost a town in itself. There were no Americans on the escape because in September 43, they were all dispatched into the South Compound.
Right.
They had been involved in some of the early days, but there were no Americans getting out. They weren't wearing chinos and a nice grey T-shirt looking like a Gap advert. You know, they were all over there.
What the movie did get right was that the original escape plan involved digging 3 tunnels.
Who's Harry?
Harry was the code name for the tunnel because there was 3 tunnels: Tom, Dick, and Harry. So obviously, very much a British culture to it. Let's face it. You would never use the word tunnel in the camp for obvious reasons. Bad security. So you talk about, I'm going to go down Tom tonight. That doesn't sound great, does it? But anyway, that's what they would say.
Tunnel Tom was discovered by German guards, and Dick was abandoned when a new compound was built over its intended exit. All efforts were then concentrated on completing the most ambitious tunnel, the 104-metre Harry.
When they were tunnelling, they couldn't tunnel in their clothes, and the Germans would go, well, why are you so muddy? Have you been underground, you naughty boy? You know, that's sort of... So what they would do then, they would then tunnel naked, OK? Right. So say you were the tunneller, you would be in front of me, right?
Tunnelling naked.
Bollock naked, right? Passing all the sand and spoil back to me.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now, my view, you know, put it frankly, was just your bum. Your naked bum, right? And you're in a tunnel 20 foot below there. Yeah. I'm looking at your arse for 8 hours a day,
You
right?
wouldn't want that,
right?
boy.
And the other
You
thing is,
wouldn't want
and
that.
the other thing is, the diet here was bad, so a lot of the chaps had really iffy bowels.
Yeah.
So not only am I looking at your bum all day, it's a
I'm
bum
shitting
right in my face. They don't really show this in the movie.
600 men worked on constructing the tunnels, but contrary to popular belief, not everyone wanted to escape.
In the movie, you keep thinking, you know, they're all up for it. They all want to take part.
You did, yeah.
2/3 of them really didn't. You've got to remember, this is a camp for flyers. It's called Stalag Luft 3.
Right.
The Luft means air, OK? This is run by the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force. Nearly every man here had been in a plane crash.
Yeah.
So if you've survived a plane crash...
You've done all right.
You've done all right. You would be thinking, well, I've done my bit. I've been shot down. My mates have been burnt to death in the back of my Lancaster or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm not getting in a bloody plane ever again.
So sit in a POW
sit it out.
camp, just sit and watch the war.
Actually, there really wasn't. And I've looked through the King's regulations at the time, and all it says is you have a duty to evade capture. So when you're shot down, before you're captured, try and get away.
Yeah.
The film makes it seem as though,
that's your duty.
Do your duty.
Yes,
it's not your duty.
The grand plan was for 200 men to escape in one night, but many people thought mass breakouts were foolhardy.
If you did a mass escape, and the Brits had done mass escapes in the past, they did one in 43, then what the Germans do, they do a general alarm throughout the whole of the Third Reich. Yeah. So when that mass escape took place, in the alarm afterwards, the Germans rounded up 14,000 other escaping...
14,000?
Yeah. So those are escaped forced labourers, escaping slaves, escaping other prisoners of war, escaped regular criminals.
14,000?
Yeah, so you're ruining it for everybody else. And the Germans here even said, look, we know you're doing something big, we don't know where it is, but... you know what? Just do get out in 2s and 3s because you're not going to cause this great big alarm.
Despite warnings against a mass breakout, on the night of the 24th of March 1944, as soon as darkness fell, the Great Escape began.
So you can imagine here, you're a guard, and you've got your rifle.
Looking what's going on in the
Looking
camp.
what's going on, you've got some binoculars, you can see if they're up to no good.
Yeah.
It's cold, you know, you're rubbing your hands.
That doesn't come across in the film.
Exactly, in the film it's
So it was
lovely,
brutally
sunny.
cold.
Weather's more like this in the film. Right, but in reality, it was a very cold March. It was about -2, snow was on the ground.
Okay.
And of course, what's going on in the small hours of the night is that the prisoners are all getting out over there, which is about, what, 40, 50 foot away?
Yeah, you've not got much of an idea.
And it's in the snow, so you don't hear anything.
As in the film, the tunnel did fall short of the trees, but 80 POWs made it through before it was discovered. 4 were captured within feet of the tunnel exit. The others headed off through the woods.
We are 200-300 metres from the camp.
Yeah.
You can't see it anymore. You know, you're putting it behind you. By now, you can start to get disorientated very, very quickly.
Yeah, you could end up going around in a circle.
And, you know, they get lost. They've got a few rations, but not a lot. And, you know, it's cold and you're moving around. So within about 4 or 5 hours, you're going to get very tired.
Another 20 would be captured within 1 day.
I hope we're going right. Yeah, we should go right.
You think?
Yeah, it's this way, I think. We'll soon find out.
Having made it through the woods, escapees reached the outskirts of Jagan.
Right, now then, we're getting near the station.
Oh, we could be 1944
What
now,
you've got to
couldn't we?
do now, you're a civilian.
Yes, so
You're
just
not
try and
now-
look the part.
Yeah, 2 in the morning, just walking down the road, you know.
Guten Tag, mein
Yeah,
Führer.
you've got it. And don't forget, this is Europe, and there are people on the move all the time. And there are trains coming in and out of massive stations like this, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. So we might think it's strange having tons of blokes milling around in the middle of the night, but actually it's not that strange.
Those aiming to escape on trains from Jagan station needed to use an underpass to reach the platforms.
Some of the prisoners managed to get through that big door down there until it was slammed shut.
Due to an Allied bombing raid on Berlin, the station had gone into shutdown as an air raid shelter.
The other chaps, only thing they could do was make their way to the next station down the track, 4 or 5 miles down there. So you got a party of about 12, 13 of them all walking together.
All walking together.
I know, it's amazing they got away with it.
25 escapees made it into the station, which has hardly changed since 1944.
This is the ticket hall and the little ticket bureaus over there. You've got to imagine this is the middle of the night. 20 or 30 of us escapees in amongst the other people, pretending, you know, yeah, this is just normal, I'm standing at 2, 3 in the morning. Half an hour ago, 40 minutes ago, they were
scrabbling out of a tunnel.
Hut 104,
Yeah.
you know, nervous as hell, and now they're standing here and they're thinking, I could actually get away.
Yeah.
This is a proper escape now. This isn't just a walk in the woods. I'm about to get on a train, I'm about to escape.
All 25 did get away from Jagan on trains, as did the whole group who walked to the station further down the line. Sadly though, as is portrayed in the movie, only 3 great escapers actually made it to freedom. 2 Norwegians, Jens Muller and Per Bergsland, escaped on a ship to Sweden, and Bram van der Stok, the most decorated pilot in Dutch history, made it all the way to Spain. Within just 2 weeks, though, all the others had been recaptured across Germany and occupied Europe.
Let's have a look.
And for most, that didn't just mean an end to their escape.
So this is what makes a great escape, not just an escape story, but it's also a murder story.
Okay.
50 of them were executed. In the movie, they're shot in a field with a great big machine gun and mown down. In reality, because they'd escaped all over different parts of the Third Reich, they were then driven back to the camp, supposedly, in 2s and 3s, and they're shot typically while trying to escape, but actually they're having a pee on the side of the road, and they're shot in the back of the head. As soon as these chaps were shot, they were taken to local crematoria, the Gestapo filled in all the paperwork, and they were burnt very, very quickly. So every form says shot while trying to escape. You can just about understand why 1 or 2 might get shot while trying to escape.
Not 50.
Not 50.
Not 50.
And it became incredibly apparent that this was mass murder. It was a slaughter, all ordered directly by Hitler and carried out willingly by so many members of the Gestapo.
Bloody hell, right.
And so the person who was absolutely livid about it was the camp commandant, Lindiner.
Okay.
He didn't see himself as a Nazi. He looked at these young men as his charges, as his boys.
Yeah.
Like a benevolent old school teacher.
Go on.
And so he pays out of his own pocket for the construction of a memorial to the 50. So this is built during the Second World War by POWs for their comrades, their fallen comrades. And he also gave them the picks and the shovels to do it with under their promise, their parole, that they wouldn't use them for tunnelling.
Yeah.
That promise was kept by the Brits.
There was no more attempted escapes
no.
after the Great Escape.
Senior British officers said, this is nuts. What's the point in doing that again? This is still the greatest, I think, single murder of British combatants by the Germans. The Great Escape is a unique story because of this. It's this slaughter of these innocent young men.
Bloody hell. Sticks in your throat a bit, doesn't it?